Sitting in the sanctuary of Pentecostal Church of God in Christ, Bishop Donald Alford dug deep into his past, reflecting on the city where he was born and raised, South Bend.
Whites were always on the left side of Western Avenue.
We look back to a time when racial tensions were high, as illustrated in this African-American ran paper, The Reformer, around 1967. Here you see in this comic the police chief encouraging his officers to take their shooting practice to the ghetto.
It was completely separate. I mean, you know, we had our world, they had their world.
The two worlds collided during the Civil Rights Movement when nationwide African Americans rebelled against the social norms of inequality and racial discrimination. Bishop Alford remembers well the riots of the 1960s that changed the landscape of places like here along Western Avenue.
It had been some riots in the country, and you would see on television, but to see it right in your door, to drive on Western Avenue from Lafayette all the way to probably about Lombardy, and to see literally almost every storefront, you know, had to be boarded up because, you know, it was just terrible.
These headlines from Tribune articles tell the tale of what was referred to as racial disturbances during that time. Firebombs tossed at police cars, children urged to stay home after hours, controversy over shooting. But from all of this, Alford says, came some good. He calls it an awakening of sorts.
The late 60s and the 70s, blacks, you would see them in areas that you never saw them before.
Holding positions as front desk clerks at area banks and hotels rather than serving as maids and bellmen. He says it took an ugly past to build an optimistic future. Keitha Nelson, ABC 57 News.
Even the nation's capital was seized.
South Bend, Elkhart, and all of Michiana. This is ABC 57 News at 6:30.
Good morning, Michiana. Here's a live look out of Benton Harbor. As you can see, drivers will have to tackle slick, ice-covered roads. In just minutes, our team winter weather coverage continues. And as water levels rise in Rum Village, so does people's frustrations. Overnight, neighbors sound off demanding help from the city. Also ahead, a New Carlisle mother on trial for deadly neglect is now a free woman after a judge declares a mistrial, but she's not in the clear just yet. Welcome here to ABC 57 News. I'm Keitha Nelson. We begin with team winter weather coverage. ABC 57's Eric Stelter is live in Benton Harbor, tracking current icy road conditions, getting you ready for your morning commute. But first, let's turn to ABC 57 First Warning. Neighborhood meteorologist Tom Coombs for a look at today's forecast. Good morning, Tom. This morning, a Plymouth woman is locked up. She's accused of sexual misconduct with a 15-year-old boy. Here she is. Plymouth police say 29-year-old Lisa Tincher had a sexual relationship with a minor back in October. We checked overnight, and this morning she is still in the Marshall County Jail. We're still waiting to learn when this case will head to trial. And this morning, a legal battle over a gun is brewing between a worker and his former employer, Walgreens. A Mishawaka man got fired for carrying a gun into the store. This, even though he was off the clock. His attorney says the worker was properly licensed and did nothing legally wrong, but Walgreens policy says employees cannot have guns on the property.
He was terminated for doing nothing other than exercising his legal right to carry a gun while he was off work.
Walgreens has since offered him his job back, but he declined, and he's seeking financial compensation for wrongful termination. And the battle continues. South Bend's mayor and common council are not seeing eye to eye over the Century Center. Most recently, the mayor refused to sign a resolution passed by the council with a vote of 8-1. The resolution calls for greater oversight of the city landmark because it's operated in the red for so many years.
The mayor's refusal to sign it obviously says that he doesn't want to work with the council on this. The bill passed 8-1. Clearly, he doesn't respect the legislative process.
According to the mayor's chief of staff, the mayor did not sign it because he felt the issues had been resolved. The council will take up the issue again Monday. And right now, a massive manhunt is underway for a former LAPD officer. He's accused of shooting 3 cops. Police say 33-year-old Christopher Dorner killed one of the officers. He's also the prime suspect in the death of a retired cop's daughter and her fiancé. Police say Dorner threatened to target officers in retaliation for being fired about 4 years ago. In addition to being a former LAPD officer, Dorner was also a Navy reservist and a skilled sniper. The LAPD says it's doing all it can to ensure everyone's safety. And here in South Bend, the search continues for suspects in an armed home invasion on the city's northwest side. Police say 2 armed men broke into a home on Studebaker Street late Wednesday night. A mother and her children were sitting inside. The suspects searched the house but ultimately took nothing. Police used the K-9 unit that led them to this house on Fosnot Street. When the people in the home refused to come out, police called in the SWAT team. 10 men were detained, but no arrests were made. A fire breaks out in southern Indiana, killing 5 people, including 2 young children. Officials believe a wood-burning stove sparked the flames Thursday in Crawford County. As you can see in this video, there is nothing left of the home. Officials of the small town say this is heartbreaking to their community. The sheriff says their family tried desperately to put out the flames.
This is by far the worst tragedy that I've experienced in 16 years of law enforcement. And this is by far the worst, to lose 5 in a fire.
The rural area is in a remote hilltop with no fire hydrants, so crews were forced to bring in water tankers. In central Indiana, this Henry County couple charged with neglect could soon be offered a plea deal. David and Rebecca Detjen were arrested in November after Indiana police found 5 of their 7 children locked inside the back of an unheated box truck. The couple said they were moving from Pennsylvania to California. They both pled not guilty to a single count of felony neglect. The prosecutor says he will offer them a deal. They could plead guilty to 1 of the neglect charges. It's now 35 minutes past the hour and 30 degrees outside. It's a gut-wrenching story out of Missouri. Police find a mentally challenged teen handcuffed to a pole in his dad's basement. Still to come, you won't believe how long he was a prisoner in his own home. And call it a lucky day for this bartender. In just minutes, a closer look at the shocking crash that will have you talking.
You're watching ABC 57 News in high definition with Keitha Nelson and First Warning neighborhood weather meteorologist Tom Coombs. Good morning, Michiana.
Welcome back on this Friday morning. It's 44 minutes past the hour now and 30 degrees outside. Let's call it a Grammy crackdown. This year's organizers have a message for celebrities. Cover up. This is exactly the type of raunchy look they're trying to steer away from. Producers sent out a memo this week to nominees and performers. It asked all those appearing on stage to keep their private parts covered. The Grammys is this Sunday. You know, I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. And we do want to mention the memo did go out here. Tom does have on pants today. We thank you for that.
I do. I read the memos like, oh, ABC, so now we're going to start cracking down.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We got to put on clothes.
Okay,
you know.
pants on this morning.
It is.
Probably want to have the jacket on as well,
Yeah.
just because it's cold out there. Temperatures are going to be dropping.